Hey everyone, so today what we're going to share is a compilation of videos of a lot of trombone players who have something to say about J.J. Johnson and his legacy. On June 1st, 2024, we celebrated J.J. Johnson's legacy at the 2024 International Trombone Festival, and on that concert we put together a little video kind of featuring a lot of trombone players who had something to add about J.J.'s legacy, how they were inspired by him, and things like that. So in today's video, you're going to see more than what was able to be presented at the ITF on June 1st. These are the full videos of everyone that submitted something to me for that. So this is a great cross section of a lot of trombone players. Of course, it's not everyone. I wish we could have included everyone, but I hope it'll inspire you to leave in the comments down below or to upload your own comments, thoughts about JJ, his legacy, and what it means to you and how his music has impacted you. I'd love to see and hear what you think as well. So enjoy the video. Here are some amazing trombone players who have something to say about J.J. Johnson.
Hello everyone, Wycliffe Gordon here. What about J.J. Johnson that resonates with me? Well, there are many great trombonists and there are many different schools of trombone playing. But when it comes to the gold or the platinum standard, I always think about J.J. He was a master trombonist. He was also a master of the language of jazz. He played everything from its simplest form into its most sophisticated, and all with style and grace. So J.J., he's a giant amongst giants.
Hey everybody, trombonist Steve Davis, Stevie D here, and I think this about sums it up, everybody. J is for jazz, signed by J.J. himself, and he signed a few records for me in the dressing room at the Blue Note in New York City in 1996. Very fond memory indeed. Thinking about J.J.'s conception and mastery, as we all know, on a brass level as a trombonist, he played the horn about as well as anybody has ever played it. And as an improviser and composer, J.J. played with such precision and conviction and just an incredibly beautiful musical concept that was so complete. And he's been a major influence on me, of course, as he has for so many of us. So we love you forever, J.J.
J.J. Johnson gave the trombone wings to fly with Bird. We're all his children, living in the brilliant light of his genius. Our duty is to carry that torch forward. Long live the king, J.J. Johnson.
Hey, this is trombonist Michael Dease. I'm so excited to share some words about the great one, J.J. Johnson, in celebration of his centennial this year. What can you say that hasn't been said a million times already? But it deserves to be said. His sound, his attention to detail, his amazing professionalism, his composition and arranging of the highest order, the way that he used his intelligence, his soul, his heart, wit, passion, and the nuance and complete understanding of this beautiful, beautiful instrument we play to create these majestic solos and performances that will inspire us for the rest of time. The great J.J. Johnson, such a huge inspiration to me and to so many of us and probably everyone in this room watching this right now. Thank you, J.J. Johnson. We love you forever, and we appreciate you.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Fedchock. The mark that J.J. Johnson left on the trombone world is indelible. Every jazz trombonist today owes him a debt of gratitude, and I, personally, am forever grateful. J.J.'s most known for adapting the complexities of bebop to the trombone, an instrument with only one moving part. But he was also a skillful arranger and composer, and he was able to blend that talent with his improvisational skill, something that's influenced me quite a bit. To put it simply, J.J. played like a writer, and he wrote like a player. His solos were always sophisticated and well organized, and his compositions were always idiomatically perfect and never overwritten. J.J. will be a role model to many writers and players for years and years to come. And I'm really proud to be part of this celebration of J.J. Johnson's centennial year.
Hey, it's Chris Crenshaw here from Jazz at Lincoln Center. Just to talk about this man right here, the trombone master, J.J. Johnson. What he meant to me is his approach, the way that he went about his sound, articulation, phrasing, and everything. It meant so much to the trombone community. And the way that he transferred the language of Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie onto the trombone meant so much for us. And so many of our players are playing like that, and then some. So big up to J.J. Johnson.
One of the many things that I admire in J.J. Johnson's playing is his melodicism. Can go on and on about the amazing technical achievements on the instrument, his beautiful tone, the crispness and clarity of his articulation, but I keep coming back to that idea of every single phrase he played had this great sense of melody, whether it was a composed melody or some of his ideas while improvising. It was, even at its most technical and virtuosic, the ideas are constructed in such a way that you can vocalize it back. And I think about that a lot in trying to maintain that melodicism in my own musical ideas. So that's something that I definitely got from JJ.
Hello, Emmett Goods here. So honored to be asked to be a part of this video in honor of the great J.J. Johnson for his centennials that we're celebrating this year of 2024. J.J. Johnson has been a hero of mine from the very beginning. My brother introduced me to J.J. Johnson when I was first starting to get serious about trombone. And from that moment forward, it's been all about JJ. JJ still resonates with me today the same way he did all the way back then. He's my guiding star. I aspire to be just as masterful of a player as he was, to be just as great of a teacher as he was, to be just as great of a writer as he was, and to be just as great of a band leader as he was. His recordings still influence and inspire me to this day. I love playing his music for my students. I love having them take records out of my personal collection in my office and go to the library and experience what it is to put that needle on the record and to hear JJ sound and get that same bug, catch that same spark that I did. He is a major part of American music. He's a major part of jazz. When I think about the most underappreciated part of JJ, I would say it's his catalog. He has a catalog of recordings that stand up there with any other of the major figures in jazz. And unfortunately, people can't name them the same way that they can name a lot of other recordings. But I mean, anybody that's heard JJ Inc. 1961 with Freddie Hubbard and Clifford Jordan and JJ as the front line can tell you that's some of the most amazing Freddie Hubbard you'll ever hear. It's some of the most amazing Clifford Jordan that you'll ever hear. It's some of the most amazing JJ that you'll ever hear. He is an important part of this music, and we are just so much better for all that he's done for the trombone, for jazz, and for music.
J.J. Johnson really is the pioneer of modern bebop jazz trombone playing, and I think he's underappreciated, even though he's very much appreciated and talked about. I think he's the obvious answer when people ask, who should you listen to? But I feel like JJ really deserves a special place for the legacy he's left us, not only as a player, but also as a composer, as an arranger, as a band leader, and as a force of nature within this music. You know, he did so much for the trombone and so much for this music, and he often is put to the side for other instruments, sometimes like saxophone or trumpet. Not that those people aren't well deserving of all the accolades, but JJ really transcended and incorporated a lot of influence into his music and deserves all of our attention and all of our praise that he's been bestowed with for all of these years, because he really was a master of this music. And it is really an honor to get to share his music all of this year and into the future, because not only does he influence so many of our playing as improvisers, his mastery of the instrument and mastery of the language, but as a composer, as an arranger, and as a idol to look up to, and as an influence and hero to be someone to aspire to be like. I know that he's definitely one of my heroes, and I definitely aspire to be able to lead a band like him, to arrange music like him, to compose, to have a career that spans so many different parts of the industry, so many different parts of this music. So thank you, JJ, for all that you've done for us, and thank you for allowing us to celebrate your legacy this year.
Well, my name is Ryan Keberle, trombonist and composer, and I'm here to celebrate along with you all the life and legacy of J.J. Johnson on his 100th anniversary of his birth. J.J. was one of my very first heroes in jazz. His solos were some of the very first solos I transcribed and learned to play on my instrument. But I think for me, even more than his brilliance as a trombonist, his brilliance as a composer, an arranger, and orchestrator are something that I would like to focus on, because I think they're overlooked oftentimes in the trombone world. JJ was a genius composer and arranger. Some of my all-time favorite jazz compositions were written by JJ. Of course, we all know Lament, but there are so many others, including El Camino Real, Say When, Shortcake, his Euro Suite. From my 2 cents, is some of the great large ensemble writing in jazz history, up there with Duke Ellington and Gil Evans, etc. So I'd love to join you all and celebrate JJ, and hope that we can carry on his legacy for the next 100 years.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my love for J.J. Johnson as we celebrate his centennial this year. When I heard J.J. Johnson at 15 years old, my mind was just absolutely blown. I remember Vince Gardner played his solo on Mysterioso for me, and I didn't even think it was a trombone. I swore it was a valve instrument, hearing him play all those amazing technical lines. But what really stuck with me was his sound, his tone, the clarity. It's something that I really try to model my trombone sound after. And this year I have dedicated in all of my ensembles a portion to learning J.J. Johnson's music. So I've covered a lot of his small group arrangements, going into his big band stuff. It's even inspired me to write a few big band arrangements of his compositions myself. So thank you so much, J.J., for everything you've done for the trombone and for the jazz community.
Hi, I'm Neumeister. I was introduced to J.J. Johnson when I was 12 years old, when I was playing in the Weldonian Marching Band, when the band director gave me a transcription of J.J. Johnson and told me I had to learn it to play as a solo. It was the transcriptions of J.J. Johnson's Mac the Knife, solo on Mac the Knife. And I also learned a solo on Indiana for that same marching band, although we were playing in the stage band. And at the very first football game at the Oakland Coliseum, of the Oakland Raiders at the Oakland Coliseum, the marching band marched out to the center of the field, the 50-yard line at halftime, and I came to the front with tuba, accordion, and played JJ's solo on Mac the Knife on the first Oakland Raiders football game at the Oakland Coliseum. How cool is that? I've been studying JJ ever since. Huge influence, of course, and especially his recording Proof Positive, which I wore out. Happy birthday, JJ. Later.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tony Baker. Professor Nick Finzer invited myself, among many other people, to offer a few words about how J.J. Johnson influenced my playing and my career trajectory and what he means to me. I have to say that I've always felt like I came to know J.J. Johnson's playing a little bit late in the game. I was a senior in high school when I first heard J.J. Johnson. And this was at a time when I had decided that I wanted to really try to be the best classical trombonist that I was capable of being. And I'd always equated classical playing with refinement and cleanness and virtuosity and precision. And just, I'd always thought of it as being high artistic playing. And then I heard J.J. Johnson for the first time, and his jazz playing, in particular his improvisation, it contained all of those things. And it really was the first time it had ever really occurred to me that jazz could be all of those things on the trombone. And that planted a seed in me that jazz is something that I could approach in the same way that I was trying to approach classical trombone playing. Now, it wouldn't be much later until I decided that I wanted to become a much better jazz trombonist than I had been in my undergrad years and in my grad years for that matter. But J.J. Johnson was one of the inspirations that led me to believe that if I applied the same principles and standards of preparation and practice to my jazz playing, that my jazz playing could be every bit as refined and clean and virtuosic as my classical playing. And I know it probably sounds a little bit silly that that's something that I had to figure out, but I did have to figure out, and J.J. Johnson is one of the reasons I figured that out. And he continues to be an inspiration to me today. I never get tired of listening to him after all these years. Happy birthday, JJ.
Hey, everybody. Chris Glassman here, chiming in about this J.J. Johnson Centennial. Thanks so much to Nick Finzer for the invite. J.J. Johnson to me is quintessential, and that's a word I had heard for a really long time and didn't understand until more recently with a recent Jerry Seinfeld interview, and he's talking about things like Levi jeans, the Swiss Army knife, and he calls them quintessential, meaning you can't add anything or remove anything from them to make them any better. Exactly as they are, it's like perfect. And that's how I feel about JJ's playing. His sound is quintessential. It's the perfect amount of warmth and core to the tone. His playing, his ideas are quintessential, meaning that they're compositional, they're melodic, they demonstrate the chord changes in the way that we as academics will go, ooh, that was interesting, but in a way that's also super accessible to the listener. You can follow the triads he's playing and learn music theory lessons from the triads, but also just appreciate that they're there and they're sounding with that extra little bit of color. His career as a composer, I think, is quintessential in that he not only played the instrument, but he was a great composer of movie and film scores and television scores. And I think his path also is quintessential for me and inspirational for me as a person, because J.J. Johnson wasn't just a musician. He wasn't just a composer. He was a person who lived a life, and he put the trombone down for a really long period of time, but came back through his love of music. And I think his playing, his legacy, his compositional style, all of these things are quintessential. As a writer, I try to write with that level of quintessence, which is, as we all know, impossible. We can try, but it's so difficult. And I think that that might be also an underappreciated point about J.J. Johnson, is that he was less is more in the most musical way possible. He had the best range, but he wasn't always just pulling it out there. He wasn't a show-off. He played quintessentially. He played exactly what the musical moment needed. He wrote what the song needed. His solos were exactly what they needed. And his sound is exactly how the trombone should sound.